One of the supposed difficulties with the prophecy of Daniel is that it's only one of two books in the entire Bible to be composed in two different languages. The other is Ezra, in which several of the letters contained in the book were originally composed in Aramaic and not deemed necessary to be translated into Hebrew. Daniel chapters 1 and 8 through 12 are written in Hebrew, like the rest of the Old Testament, but Daniel chapter 2 dramatically and abruptly shifts into Chaldean Aramaic, which was a language spoken by the Babylonians. What's interesting about this is that chapter 1 describes the conquest of the city of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple by the Babylonians. And then chapter 12 describes the conquest of the city and destruction of the temple by the Romans. So that forms a chiastic pair at the very beginning and ending of the book, and both are written in Hebrew. The second alleged difficulty is that Daniel chapters 1 through 7 are written in the third person. Then, in chapters 8 through 12, Daniel begins to refer to himself in the first person, I. This raises a number of questions. Do these shifts imply two authors or one? Why is Daniel written in two languages? And why the shift in point of view? It's best to apply the proverbial Occam's razor here. All things being equal, the simple explanation is the best one. The Chaldean portions were composed as a narrative record when Daniel was made ruler over the whole province of Babylon, the chief of the governors of all the wise men of Babylon, and later the third ruler of the kingdom, and finally a well respected and prosperous man living in the reign of Darius and Cyrus the Persian. This was a piece of Chaldean literature meant for a Babylonian and Jewish audience. This portion was originally composed in Chaldean Aramaic, which became the common language of the Jews after the Babylonian captivity. It was not deemed necessary to translate these portions into Hebrew. Furthermore, a recent analysis has shown that the Chaldean of Daniel is the official Chaldean of that era and not the Western Aramaic dialect spoken at the time of the Maccabean revolt in the 2nd century and later. Daniel 1 begins in Hebrew in the third person point of view. Then Daniel 2:4 abruptly shifts to another language. The Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic. O king, live forever. Tell the dream to your servants, and we will declare the interpretation. This sudden shift from Hebrew to Chaldean or Chaldean Aramaic can be likened to the dialogue in a modern movie that takes place in a foreign country. This convention was satirized in Robin Williams' movie, Moscow on the Hudson. For realism's sake, the scriptwriters begin with the foreign language and the film provides subtitles. But at a certain point, the film shifts to English to make the film experience
Let's
easier for
practice
the
our English.
moviegoer.
Okay. Okay?
Okay.
Let us practice. You
Although
start.
this may seem like a trite analogy,
Hello,
the storyteller
Mr.
aspect of the historical
Mister,
narrative is
Mister,
meant to
Mister,
captivate
Mister.
the reader
Hello,
and lend a sense
mister.
of
May I
realism and
buy lamb
imminence
chop?
to the contemporary
Sure
Jewish
thing.
audiences. After chapter 7, the rest of the visions occur later in Daniel's life, after Babylon has been overthrown and the Jews have begun to return to the land of Judah. These prophecies are almost solely about future events after Daniel's death. So he shifts to writing in the traditional language of a Hebrew prophet, using the first person I, just like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and most of the minor prophets. This convention was established by Moses, who speaks in the first person in the book of the law. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him shall ye hearken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. Deuteronomy 18:15-18. This prophecy of Moses speaks of a test for future prophets, but it also speaks of a singular prophet, which points to the Jewish Messiah. First person eyewitness testimony is the convention for recognizing a prophet by later generations, until finally Jesus Christ gave testimony from God of his own witness. I am one that bear witness of myself, and the Father that sent me beareth witness of me. John 8:18. So the shifts in Daniel from Hebrew to Aramaic and back to Hebrew and from third person to first person do not have to be treated as defects or evidence of a patchwork book. They can be read as meaningful literary signals. The language follows the changing setting and audience. The point of view follows the changing role of Daniel, from a court figure in the historical narrative to a prophetic eyewitness. And both shifts serve the larger purpose of the book, to carry God's people from exile to the promised coming of the Messiah.